again. So there we go. So welcome everybody. It's the PHA pleasure to invite you to this fascinating evening. And thank you and welcome Robito Chatwin, who is going to be talking to us about an incredibly fascinating topic. He is a traveling hypnotherapist and he's going to talk to us about Freedom Hypnosis, and fabulously is going to explain to us what hypnosis actually is. So thank you very much, and over to you, Robito.
Thank you very much, and hello everyone. Okay, I am going to do a presentation first, if that's okay, and then at the end, when I finish the presentation, then if you've got any questions, I welcome your questions. Obviously, while I'm doing the presentation, if there's anything that comes to your mind while I'm doing it, you can just put it in the chat, and then we can look at that at the end. And then anybody that's interested at the end, once I've explained hypnosis, what it is, what it isn't, the limitations, the benefits, I'm going to touch on mass formation, I'm going to touch on COVID vaccine and COVID symptoms, and some other stuff as well. Once I've finished, if people would like to have a go, we'll do a kind of a demo at the end, maybe for about 20 minutes to kind of show you what it is. For those that feel uncomfortable with that, no problem. You can just stay here and ask questions at the end. Okay, so I will share my screen. And let me just do that. Okay, and I just need to go like that. Okay, Maureen, can you see the screen okay?
Yeah, we can see the screen. We can see the main slide and then the 4 slides to the sides.
Oh, you can also see those as well.
Yeah, so it needs to go into the slide, if I can say it, slideshow.
Okay, all right then, because it seems to be because I'm going to share my computer now. Oh.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right then. So first of all, I believe strongly that hypnosis is the most overlooked healing modality. Most people have heard of Reiki, homeopathy, meditation, but I think it's not only the most overlooked, I would argue that it's also one of the most misunderstood as well. So Freedom Hypnosis is the name I've given to the type of hypnosis that I do. I'm going to explain actually what hypnosis is, then I'm going to explain hypnotherapy, and then I'll finish with a bit more specific on what I do at the end. Okay, so there we go. All right, and I am an online and in-person hypnotherapist, so you can do sessions with me remotely. I'm also a UK tutor of critical thinking. I do that only over the summer. I do summer courses now. I'm a full-time meditator, which I can maybe explain as I'm doing the slides. And I'm also the founder of the Conscious People's Network on Telegram, which was until very recently the COVID positive news. There, robito.info will take you to everything that I do. And so now diving into what is hypnosis. So first of all, nearly all ancient cultures, that's including the Sumerian, the Persian, Chinese, Indian, Egyptian, Greek, and Roman, had shamans, priests, or practitioners employing the hypnotic state, which is also called hypnagogia, for healing. So it's not new. Franz Anton Mesmer was a German physician whose technique, and this was obviously a long time ago, popularized the idea of the magical powers, which is what we often see when we look on the television and we see hypnosis and we think that there's something magical going on. And there isn't something, well, there is something magical going on, but it's not magical powers. But nevertheless, I was mesmerized by the television, right? It's obviously gone deep rooted into our psyche, this idea of being mesmerized and that hypnosis is something magical. However, on a more kind of practical level, there was James Esdale, who was became very he was very notable, kind of famous, because he was actually one of the first people to be using hypnosis as a surgical procedure so that people don't feel pain. And that was on the battlefields of India. And that was out of sheer necessity because there was no painkillers at the time. And then when they were introduced, they couldn't get them to the people on the battlefield. So there were enough people using hypnosis by 1892 that the British Medical Association endorsed the therapeutic use of hypnosis in 1892 for doctors, surgeons, psychiatrists, psychologists, etc. So what I'm basically kind of explaining right now is that this is not new. This has been going on for a long time. The US psychiatrist Milton Erickson founded the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis in 1957. The UK National Occupational Standards for Hypnotherapy were published in 2002. And now we have a 2016 Stanford study, which shows that hypnosis causes physical changes. Just need to move the video. I can see it's blocking some of my text. Physical changes in the brain that enhance somatic and emotional control. Somatic means from the body. So the ability for the body to control itself, to change how the body regulates and moves and change and behaves, and also emotions as well. So we'll dive into that a little bit. This is the study from 2016. So I'm just go back. Yes, I did say 2016. Now this is the study from 2016. Okay, so a lot of people feel that hypnosis is, or some people, would argue that it's controlling people, that it's some form of control. So when we talk about, is hypnosis suggestibility? Well, the issue with, there's two things about suggestibility. In the studies, when they talk about suggestibility, they actually mean the ability for you to go into hypnosis when they say, are you suggestible? So some of you might know mass formation. Dr. Matthias Desmet says that about 30% of the population are hypnotizable. I disagree with that completely. I'll explain why, although I don't disagree with what Dr. Matthias Desmet says about other things. But suggestibility in the studies means going into hypnosis. We understand it generally as being suggestible, as being controlled. Okay, so is hypnosis that? No, but it does play a part in it. Is hypnosis deep focus? When we focus on something, we're in a trance state. If anybody out there thinks that you've never been in a trance state, have a quick look at this photograph of somebody watching a computer screen. We've all been in a trance state. It's a state of focus, of deep focus is the trance state. So is hypnosis an altered state of awareness when your consciousness or your awareness changes? And the answer to that is yes, but also we're constantly going in and out of different awareness, different states of awareness. So when we want to explain hypnosis, we need to talk about brainwave activity. And I will touch on, well, I'll actually go deep into the focus and the suggestibility as well. But to understand hypnosis, we need to look at brainwave activity. MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, they did a study in 2001, which looked at ayahuasca, which is DMT, and other activities on the human brain. And what they found was that the changes in consciousness induced by ayahuasca, DMT, are, where do we go? Comparable to meditative state, meditation, hypnotic, hypnagogic states, and that's all characterized by an increased theta activity. All right, so an increased theta activity is what we're exploring. And just in case you think that that study, if anyone out there is thinking that this study is, who's MAPS, psychedelic studies, that sounds crazy. Actually, the Imperial College London has now got a Centre for Psychedelic Research for Depression, and the University College of London is jumping in there now to study on DMT as well. So what they found is that if we look at the brainwave states, beta, that's the thinking mind. That's where we are most of the time. We're actively thinking, our brain waves are active, we're thinking, and so our brain is very active. As we relax, well, alpha, sorry, as we focus, I should say, as we focus on the present moment, the brain waves slow down and we go into alpha. After alpha, there's theta, which is an even slower brainwave state, and then delta is sleep. All right, so we all know what it's like to go in sleep, and we know also that when we go to sleep, we dream, so we know that we're very connected to our subconscious. Okay, so the first part then is from beta down to alpha. The more connected we get to our subconscious, the more that we go down these brainwave states. So from beta to alpha, theta to delta, delta is sleep. To go into alpha, we need to focus on the present moment. So focusing on the present moment, and then theta is the hypnagogic state. I'll explain how we get from alpha to theta in a moment, but first from beta to alpha. So from the thinking mind to the present moment, to meditation. And to do that, that's where the focus comes in. I'll mention this in a moment. So for us to go into the alpha state, which is, meditation, reading is meditation. It brings you into the present moment. You can't read and not be in the present moment because you have to read the page again. Music, you can't play a musical instrument unless you are in the present moment. So playing music is a form of meditation. I'm just showing people here that the meditation is something that we do all the time. Focusing on the present moment is something that we do all the time. You need to do that when you're focused on a sport. And also just notice that all of these activities, you're doing something. So to go into the alpha, you focus on the present moment, but you're doing something. You're playing an instrument, you're doing a sport, you're painting a picture, you're swimming. It's a good one because you need to focus on your breath, and you also need to focus on the movement. Obviously meditation, but in meditation, you're doing something. You're focusing on the breath, you're focusing on your sensations, and also prayer, because there's some people out there that say that, that meditation kind of goes against say religions, Christianity, for example. Well, when you pray, you also, if you're praying deeply, you're going into the present moment. And so it's just focusing on the present moment is a type of meditation. So that includes prayer as well. All right, so now this part. So there's a part of the brain that lights up called the default mode network. This is what it looks like in a brain scan when we're thinking about the future or going back into the past. Because of negativity bias, when we go into the future, we're usually worrying about the future. When we go into the past, we're regretting what we've done. And, this has been talked about in spirituality for thousands of years. And now the science can explain that there's a part of the brain that lights up when we go into the future or the past, the default mode network. When we focus on the present moment, when we go from beta to alpha, this default mode network shuts down. So we're not going into the future or the past. So it's really easy to understand how that would reduce anxiety, that would reduce depression, that would reduce blood pressure, and even and headaches also, and also ADHD symptoms as well. So we're not going into the future, we're not going into the past, we're training ourselves to stay into the present. When I say I'm a full-time meditator, the more that you practice staying in the present moment, the more neuroplasticity your brain will start to cooperate, and you can stay in the present. It's just like going to the gym, except instead of building physical muscle, you're building brain muscle. Okay, so from beta to alpha, going into the present, focusing on the present. That's where the focus comes in. To go into the hypnagogic state, theta, there's another aspect to it. And I said, notice that in all of those examples that I gave of meditation, you're doing something. To go into the theta, there's a word here, or I can't highlight it, relaxation. So this is what a hypnotherapy session looks like. The person is not doing anything. The difference is when you go from the beta to the alpha to the theta, the focus is focusing on the hypnotherapist's voice. And to go into the theta, it's relaxation, letting go, surrendering, trusting. You need to do those things to go into the theta brainwave state, okay? So there's no doing. Anybody who thinks that, you know, if there's anyone out there, I'll just say, so the more that you relax, the more that you let go and you focus and follow the voice of the hypnotherapist, then you can go deep into the subconscious. And I just like this picture because it just, you know, there's so much possibility there once you go into the subconscious, which I'll talk about what we can do there. But this is an example of the theta, just to kind of show that that the subconscious is real for anyone out there who's questioning, yeah, but, you know, can the subconscious really? I'm sure some of you out there have been driving. You've been focusing on driving, focusing on the road, relaxing, and then suddenly you've realized that for the last 5 minutes, your subconscious took over and you don't know what happened for the last 5 minutes that you were on the road. You were focusing and you were relaxing, and your subconscious, you connected to the subconscious. Okay, so it's a brainwave state. And an important aspect is that when you go into hypnosis, so we're talking about suggestibility, somebody taking control of you, you're always willing to do it. You cannot go into hypnosis. It's impossible for you to go into hypnosis if you don't allow it. You have to allow it. You know that you are going into hypnosis, okay? So you're doing it willingly. It's not possible for someone to control you into hypnosis. And this is important, but it doesn't mean that you can't be manipulated. So I just wanted to first of all talk about consumer psychology, because in consumer psychology, they know when they have something like the Super Bowl, that everybody is going to be focusing on a television screen and everybody is going to be relaxed. So you're not only going into meditation, you're going into theta, you're relaxing. And that's why they will spend, I don't know how much, $1 million on a commercial, on an advert, because they know that that is going directly to your subconscious and you can be influenced by it. But you are still willingly going into theta. You are choosing to watch the television, relax and focus on the Super Bowl. So there you see, we're willingly doing it, and we're focusing and we're relaxing. So that means that you could say that mass media, the news, television shows, music videos, all of this, it's all can influence us subconsciously if we're in that relaxed state. We need to be in that relaxed state as well. But watching TV is the perfect example. You know, so we're watching TV or we're watching our computer screen, we're relaxing in it, we're focusing, connecting to the subconscious. So it's not the hypnosis that's the problem. The problem actually in this situation, say with consumer psychology, and people make it they've studied how to make us buy things that we wouldn't ordinarily want, is because we willingly do it, but we're not aware, we don't know that the power of hypnosis. All right, so quickly, mass formation. Mass formation requires focus on a particular threat. All right. So in the past, it was the Soviet Union. We had terrorism. We had COVID-19, got Russia, climate change, focusing on a threat. All right. Mass formation is not hypnosis, but it uses hypnosis. So it's a technique to control the masses. And Dr. Martez Desmet says you need 4 conditions for mass formation. One of them is you need to feel alone and isolated. The other is you need to feel meaningless. You don't have any meaning in your life. The other one is you need to feel constant anxiety or threat. So that's the hypnosis. That's the focus, feeling the constant anxiety or threat in a relaxed state when you're watching TV, when you're watching the news. Then you start to feel frustrated and angry, and then the authority can provide the solution to your problem. So that's why I've always said the most powerful thing that we could do to change the world is turn off our televisions. All right, so the reason that I put this picture there, I love this picture, by the way, but the reason that I put this picture there is because if we are not focusing on the threat, if we're not focusing on any of those things, then we're not feeling frustrated or angry about that threat. We might feel frustrated or angry with the authorities that are doing this, or with the advertising companies, or whoever it is, but we're not frustrated or angry because of the threat, which means that we won't be in hypnosis, because, or we won't be manipulated or suggestible in that way, because we're not focusing on the threat. So if you are going to watch TV, at least be aware of what's being suggested to you, because if you're aware of it, then you can see through it. Okay, so again, the important thing to know is that we're willing to go into hypnosis. It's a choice. Nobody can make us do it. So going back now to hypnotherapy, we know when you are sitting there in the chair and the person is talking to you and guiding you down into this relaxed state, you know that you are being taken down into this relaxed state, and you are fully aware, conscious of everything that's being said to you, just like if you're watching TV. You're fully aware, you can hear it, you can understand it, nobody can program anything into you in that way. You are in full control because you know what is happening to you. Okay, so the benefits. The first benefit, I just wanted to show some evidence, some science. Okay. So the first benefit of is a meta-analysis 2016, is that it helps with PTSD symptoms. This is massive because PTSD is a collection of stress over time. And what you can do with hypnotherapy is you can release that stress and you release the symptoms. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Another one is chronic pain. So a 2012 systematic review, you can get rid of chronic pain with hypnosis. And this is chronic pain and cancer procedure related pain in children. All right, depression can also, and I'll explain a little bit how this works, but also depression. Procedural pain is not one that I do, but procedural pain would be when you're actually having an operation at a hospital. And there are, for example, in France, medical doctors can train to do hypnosis for medical procedures as part of their medical training. And then there's a study from 1970, which, you know, it's old, but I put it in here because a lot of hypnotherapists love to refer to this study. This study showed that you get a 93% recovery rate after 6 sessions of hypnotherapy, compared to 38% recovery from 600 psychoanalysis, 72% from 22 behavior therapy. So people could argue, yeah, but that's, you know, these therapies have changed now. This is 1970s, but nevertheless, what it does show is the power of hypnotherapy. And this is the study from the 1970s. Okay, so this is some of the things that I've helped people with personally. So stress, pain, PTSD, depression, arthritis, tinnitus or tinnitus, fibromyalgia, eczema, psoriasis, irritable bowel syndrome, and there's more. Tinnitus, when first session, one session, gone. Arthritis, one session, gone. Depression takes time. PTSD usually takes time. Fibromyalgia takes time. But psoriasis, I've got a client now and the psoriasis is just slowly disappearing from the body. So how is that possible? Before I go into how that's possible, I just wanted to quickly mention the vaccine injured, because I said I would also talk about that in this session. And I also, perhaps there's some people watching this right now from React 19, because I actually reached out to React 19 as well, the American organization for the COVID vaccine injured. And if you are here, welcome. So we know already that hypnotherapy can help with anosmia, which is the loss of taste and smell, and parosmia, which is a sulfuric, distorted taste. The fact is, though, that with the vaccine injured, is that it's a vaccine that's never been used before. So we're on humans. So we're in uncharted territory. Everybody is. All the doctors are. All the therapists are. We don't know. But what we do know is that hypnotherapy can help with all of this, that it can help with this, and also COVID symptoms, regardless of whether, you know, COVID, no COVID, doesn't matter. The symptoms are there. People suffer from fever, fatigue, loss of smell and taste again, sore throat. So these all potentially, most of them could also be healed, or healed, you shouldn't say healed, helped with hypnotherapy, relieved with hypnotherapy. Shortness of breath, potentially also, but I'm going to explain now how. So first of all, hypnotherapy benefits everybody. If somebody out there says, I don't need therapy, we're missing a point, which is that unless we are free of all of our pain and all of our suffering, all of us could do with taking care of ourselves, doing inner work, getting rid of stress, focusing more on the present moment, and all of those types of things. So it benefits everybody. And hypnotherapy helps with all conditions caused by stress on your system. So again, going back to the unknown, things like the vaccine injured, any stress on you, any stress that is being imposed on you from something external, we can release that stress. And when we release that stress, it has benefits on all psychosomatic conditions. So psychosomatic conditions are conditions that cannot normally be explained medically, but you have either, for example, emotional, could be depression, anxiety, something like this, or physical issues, somatic, so physical issues that are caused by stress. Then there's also much more that we can do with hypnosis or hypnotherapy, which I'm not going to go into detail about, because it goes out of the, well, partly goes out of the realm of current scientific studies. But for example, we do know about placebo effect, right? We know the placebo, and we know that it's a thorn in the side of Big Pharma, that they have to produce something that is more beneficial than the placebo effect, which is the power of belief. So we know that the power of belief has the power to heal. And so that is also a part of actually any therapy, and not just hypnotherapy, sorry, but any therapy, is if you go in there not believing that it's going to work, you're not going to benefit from it. You have to be open to it. You have to be willing to benefit from the modality. But there's an aspect to hypnosis where the power of belief can actually do magic. And yeah, I won't go more into it, because it's a bit of a mystery. What's also a bit of a mystery is the quantum side of it, the quantum physics, quantum mechanics. Same thing. Our intention changes the reality out there. So there's an aspect to it which basically what I'm saying is it can move beyond psychosomatic conditions. There's other conditions that potentially could be improved through placebo, through the power of belief. And the final thing is, when you go into this state, you can get direction, you can discover purpose, you can find meaning in your life, because you go to a room in hypnosis, in the subconscious, you say, okay, open the door. On the other side of that door, you're going to see the memory that you need to see, or the image that you need to see, which is going to show you how you can be more aligned on your personal journey. And you will see what you need to see. It's not about the hypnotherapist. You do all of the work in a hypnotherapy session. And finding the key. So what I do with Freedom Hypnosis is I do 2 parts. The first part is release any negative images, feelings, thoughts, emotions, or sensations that are trapped in the body, stored in the body, and not helping you, not serving you. So that's the first part, that release of any internally stored stress. We could talk about energy, freeing the energy. That has massive positive effects, as I said, on a variety of different conditions. But what I also do with the Freedom Hypnosis is the direction. So helping the person to find a better, to either check the direction that they're going on, or to find what they need to be doing to be in better alignment on their life journey, as I put it. And the final thing is the key, finding the key. If there's something specific, something that we're really trying to figure out, then we need to find that key. When we turn that key, everything else falls into place. Yeah. So with Freedom Hypnosis, or hypnotherapy in general, but particularly with Freedom Hypnosis, because I focus on the truth and freedom movement and the vaccine injured, and helping people who are, let's say, awake and aware of certain things going on in the world. So what I'm doing in Freedom Hypnosis is helping people to find that light, to find the sunshine through the darkness, as you see in that picture there. There's all this stuff going on. How can we go through that stress-free, get rid of the stress, get rid of that backpack of stress? How can we find the right direction? And if there's something more specific, like deep-rooted past trauma, then that's where the key comes in. We go back, we find out exactly where that started, and we can do something with that to take that away. Okay. All right, so is it the most overlooked healing modality? I would argue, yes, it is. And my motto is that we free ourselves within. So I really believe that freedom comes from within. When we can connect to our subconscious and learn to feel and trust that, it will keep us safe from anything. Our intuition, we could say instead. You can follow your intuition and connect to your intuition. It'll keep us safe from whatever is coming, whatever anyone throws at us. But we have to learn to go inwards to get the answers, not outwards. And it's unique for every single person. I'll just quickly say then, so if you would like to contact me, anyone that's watching this, then you can send me an email at hello@robitochatwin.com. And this website, robito.info, will just take you to everything that I do. And then going back to the original slide, just telling you a little bit about me. I think I'll stop there. Oh no, and I also have a thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Robito. That was lovely.
Thank you.
Well, wealth of information. And from my world, some interesting, Milton Erickson, for example. I love it when he appears in a presentation. So have we got any questions from you wonderful people? Yeah, Emma, would you like to come off mute?
There we go.
Great.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see me. I can't see myself. I have no idea if I'm in the screen even.
We can't see you, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Fine, good. Perfect. I was going to ask you, Robito, if you treat kids.
Treating kids, how old?
13.
13 years old would be fine, yeah. If it's you know, like 8 years old, something like this, no, I wouldn't. The only reason is because I don't really have any experience with young children. Other hypnotherapists would, but 13, 14, 15 teenagers, absolutely fine, no problem.
Yeah. Okay.
I could say, sorry to interrupt, but I could say the only condition, so hypnotherapy is extremely safe. It's really safe because when somebody relaxes into that state, first of all, they have to choose to do it. They're fully conscious, fully aware. And the only thing that can go wrong is it doesn't work. However, the only time that a hypnotherapist shouldn't take a client, although there are some that do this, but they're kind of more specialized, is if somebody is taking medication that is for a psychosis, so for example schizophrenia or something like that. And the reason for that is because the medication is already kind of making changes to the brainwave states and everything that's going on within the body. And so you don't want to make it worse. Emma, not that I'm saying that about anything to do with you, but I'm just sharing that's the only reason, the only time when somebody should say no, unless they're really specialized.
Okay. Well, thanks for your reply. Yeah. Sure.
And if you're interested, if you send me an email, then just explain what it's, you know, what it's about, and then we can take it from there.
And you do sessions online, right?
I do them online. They work absolutely fine online. Some people do them just kind of on the telephone or something. I've never done that, and I wouldn't like to do that. I need to see the person. But and I think it's, personally, I think it's extremely important to see the person. So because you can see how they're reacting. For example, if you're releasing stress and then the person starts shaking, you don't want them to fall out of the chair, for example. So if you can't see that, then I definitely use Zoom basically.
So you're on Zoom the whole session, so to speak.
I'm on Zoom the whole session, and it's 90 minutes, so it's quite long. Although we don't need to do 90 minutes, but generally they take about 90 minutes. And I do it on a sliding scale, so people pay what they can to make it fair for everybody.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Great. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you,
Emma.
Thank you
so much for the talk. It was interesting.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you.
Lovely. And Lynn, would you like to take yourself off mute? And then we'll come to Lara.
Yes. Hi. Thank you very, very much. Very interesting. I just wonder if you feel comfortable to make a comment about quantum healing hypnosis therapy, which I had some experience with. That was, well, I don't want to say what it was, but any comment you'd like to make about that, I'd love to hear it.
I can't really. I know of quantum healing hypnosis. I know people that do quantum healing hypnosis. I've never had a specific quantum healing hypnosis session myself, and I didn't train in it. So I'm not sure exactly how you know, I don't know actually what they do in a quantum healing hypnosis session. I trained with the UK Hypnosis Academy, and also I've developed what I do based on my own personal experience and also on other techniques that I've come across. But the quantum healing hypnosis specifically, I'm not sure exactly what they do, to be honest.
Yeah. Is it okay if I just tell you a little something about the experience I had? I'm comfortable to do it.
Yeah, if you explain to me what they do, I can tell you if it's similar to what I do.
Well, it's supposed to be, as I understand it, you know, from the receiving end of it, it's supposed to accomplish the same thing, get you to the same relaxed state. And I flew across the country just at the beginning of the pandemic, believe it or not, because I had to make an appointment a year ahead in advance with this quantum healing practitioner. And its origin is Dolores Cannon's technique of going into a state where you're really just, you know, very, very relaxed. Doesn't sound any different from what you're describing. But what happened to me was I really felt like I was going to someone who I'd have good result with, you know, so that's why obviously I made the appointment and kept it. And the result of it was that I really never went into the state that I didn't have any experience with it, but I just know I didn't. I was fully aware, conscious, and not what I would call under, you know, and she was talking to me and I was very, very relaxed, but she asked me questions and I answered it. I mean, I really didn't go anywhere. And so since that happened a few years ago, I've talked to other people about, you know, is it possible? I mean, how does the person doing the hypnotherapy, are you always aware of whether somebody is truly under or not? Because I certainly wasn't. And, you know, just being on the receiving end of it, I just, I'm still wondering, you know, what, for lack of a better expression, what went wrong? I blame myself in a sense because I feel that I should have said, excuse me, I'm fully conscious of everything. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm too fully aware and conscious. And but I didn't say that, and I left it up to the practitioner to know where I was and how deeply under I was. And what she did instead was, and I'm not naming names, so I feel comfortable to say this to you. What she did was just go along with me. Sort of, you know, it was, so in essence, it was a wasted exercise in so many ways, you know, flying across the country, paying tons of money, you know, not having any result. And I sort of blame myself because I feel I should have said, hey, wait a minute, you know, no, this is not what's supposed to be happening. I left it to her and she left it to me. And we sort of went full circle back to zero. That's the way I feel about it. So
Lynn, let me just ask you quickly, what do you mean she left it to you?
Well, in the sense that if I had said, you know, I'm much too conscious, I don't feel that anything's happening, you know, then I would have, you know, I would have sort of pushed her to not just accept that I was answering. I was being polite and I was taking my cue from her. And it was, you know, if someone asked me, well, how do you feel about what happened? Firstly, I would say I was really surprised that more didn't happen. And then then after that, I feel, I'm still thinking I should have handled it differently.
Okay.
So
And Lynn, if I could just ask you one more question.
Sure.
Did you notice any change afterwards? Did you benefit from it in any way, from the whatever it was that you went? You don't need to go into details, but when you went to see this person for whatever issue.
Yeah. No. And it wasn't a particular issue. It was just to go into that state to see what would come from me. And
Right.
that was that was, I didn't have any big problem at all. But I could best describe it as saying, it's like we came around, from 360 degrees back to a point. And I've talked to, 3 or 4 people in these last couple of years that say that with that particular type of with quantum healing hypnosis therapy, someone often just doesn't have enough training to. They should just have spent a lot longer time training. I mean, in essence, what every professional I've talked to has said to me is that that's not good enough. That shouldn't happen, and it shouldn't need you to say nothing's happening. The person doing it should be able to determine that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I certainly don't want to. It's your personal experience, and I totally, agree. I believe everything you're telling me, but I wouldn't want to say anything bad about quantum healing hypnosis myself, because I don't know it. I don't know the practitioners and things like this. However, what I do know is that, first of all, when you go into hypnosis, you are fully conscious. You don't go anywhere. You are completely you are in a state of deep relaxation, but it's not going anywhere magical. So, for example, if you do past lives, because I also do past lives, but I don't do past lives initially when we're really when we do the releasing the stress, and when we're looking at, but I might do it if there's a particular trauma or something that we need to look at. When we go into past lives, you can go into this deep state of relaxation. You're fully aware, you're fully awake, you can talk to me. And hypnosis is different for everybody. So for some people, it's very visual. So you can go into like a 3D movie, an HD movie, and it looks completely real. Or some people, they feel sensations. They might feel the wind on their skin. Other people, so it could be feeling, it could be visual. Some people will hear messages, like what message do you get right now, and they can hear a voice talking to them. Okay. The reason that happens is just like a dream. You're going deep into the subconscious. So there's no demons involved. There's nothing voodoo about it. It's just going into a kind of a dreamy state. Okay. But when you're in that dream state, whether that past life experience is a real past life experience or whether it's your imagination, doesn't matter. I have my personal opinion about past lives. Other people have theirs. It doesn't matter. What you see has a message for you from your subconscious, but you don't go anywhere. You don't go anywhere different. You're fully aware, and you can have, and you could open your eyes at any moment. When you're in a hypnagogic state, it's the same state as when you wake up first thing in the morning and you're really sleepy. And if there's a fire, you can wake up like that. And if there's nothing for you to do, you can slumber around and go and grab your coffee and take your time and enjoy that sleepy state. But so what I'm wondering is, one of them could have been that perhaps you were expecting something more wow, magical to happen. That could be one thing. And the other thing, when you talk about the person doing it, that's also very possible, because just like a teacher at a school, you have good teachers and you have bad teachers. You know, in any job, you have good and bad. So one thing which is traditional hypnotherapy, which is absolutely not what I do, is you'll find some hypnotherapists that have got a script, and you'll lie down generally or sit there and they'll read a script, and then as they take you on that journey through that script, it's the same script for every client. That's not working with your client, in my opinion. That's you've created something and you're expecting them to fit with what you have put together. So when I do a session, I'm always working with the client. It's always what the person in the room needs. That's why I need to see them. How do they react? How do they move? If they tell me that they're not, that they feel like they haven't gone very deep, then we can go deeper. So for example, in your situation, perhaps you could tell me and then I could take you deeper down. So it could be a combination, is what I'm saying. It could be a combination of maybe this person wasn't very experienced, or wasn't a good teacher, or it could be that perhaps the expectation was, it could be both, you know, it could be that the expectation was perhaps that this was going to be more mind-blowing. Maybe I'll just quickly say with DMT, the reason that I mentioned DMT at the beginning, it's not like taking ayahuasca, but it's probably, I would argue, the deepest modality that we can use to get us deep into the subconscious without DMT, without ayahuasca or something like that. So it's powerful, but it's not, you don't go to, you know, other dimensions or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I just felt like, you know, I relaxed very much to a certain point, and I was just waiting to go further, you know, into a deeper relaxation state, and I didn't. And I do know a bit about deep memory process, and I didn't think that it's not always linked to taking something to deep memory process. It can just be with a practitioner that's, you know, very, very, very well trained and very good at what they do. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I mean, hypnotherapy is not the modality for everybody. And for some people, for example, transactional analysis, that's working with different ego types, which you can also do in hypnotherapy as well. You can bring in different parts of your personality and they can communicate with each other and resolve problems and things like this. So there's types of therapy that are more, you know, talk therapy, which is better for some people. You know, I would say it's a preference. The difference is that with talk therapy, it's about processing everything, and with hypnotherapy, it's about getting rid of it. You don't need it anymore. So it's arguably faster, but it's not what everybody wants and what everybody needs. Some people want to slowly go through and process everything, and that's absolutely fine as well. Yeah.
Well, I'm as a matter of fact, I'm doing that too, and that's been wonderful. I've been doing that for the last 2 years. But this other session that I had, that I flew across the country to have with someone who was thought of and is thought of as being, you know, it always works, and you know, it was my choice, of course, you know, but I just feel like I didn't expect any mind-blowing thing to happen. I just feel that what actually did happen was I got to a certain point and needed to be more relaxed, and I didn't say anything, and I was taking my cue from her, and I expected her to know without me telling her. And I was really just being very polite, because I guess I'm basically a polite person. So I'm just answering questions and relaxing and waiting to go deeper into a more deeper relaxed state, and that didn't happen.
Well, one thing I didn't say that you asked right at the beginning is, to answer that question, is yes, there are ways to tell if somebody has gone into hypnosis, and so that person perhaps wasn't checking. There are ways to check.
Yeah, maybe I'm too good an actress. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe you were just.
I just was relaxing and picturing things, and what you said about working from a script. I think most definitely that this person works from a script in what she says to everybody to relax. So, that's, since you've been giving me all this time and been, wonderful, that would be helpful, I think, for you to know that that's what happened with me. That, and I do know for a fact that that's how she works with me and other people as well. And I think it's always pretty much the same. Yeah, that's what she uses the script to relax one.
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, when you're taking someone into hypnosis, of course, you might use the same technique, or I mean, you should have several techniques in your toolkit, but
Right.
if you find one that works for you, that people react to, but then of course you should also be checking and making sure that the person has gone into the state as well.
So there are ways that you would be sort of assessing it along the way. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very, very much. It's it's been very helpful, and somehow it is different. I mean, definitely my experience was different, and that's been the big thing that I've wondered about for all this time. One of the biggest things is is there a way for the practitioner to, let's put it this way, to know more than you do as the recipient? And because I felt like, well, there should be, and what I was doing is I kept waiting for that. I just was waiting for her to know that I wasn't where I should be, and I wasn't perhaps deeply relaxed enough. But I didn't have any expectations of anything, of thunder and lightning. I just knew that I was too fully aware, and I didn't know what to do about it. And she didn't realize that I wasn't where I needed to be. So in essence, it was a whole.
Right.
I think it's a really good lesson for us all, Lynn. As a therapist myself, I have clients that ask me, how will it go? And if I'm working with somebody, we have a starting point at the beginning, we do whatever in the middle, and then I always go back and we look at what that difference is. So we look at that difference so that both I know, but also so does the client, and the client can actually connect with that and understand that. And so I think the good lesson is, I mean, it's fabulous. Robito has given us so much information that, if you're choosing a therapist, you are the most important person, and you're allowed to ask questions beforehand. And you can ask, how does the session go? What will I expect? And, you are, customer in the UK, there's a phrase, customer is king or queen, and you are the most important thing. And so in the session, as well as after the session. But thank you so much for sharing your experience. I'm sure we'll all take it.
Thank you for the presentation, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you. I enjoyed meeting all of you.
Lovely. Thank you. So just before we come to Lara, just bear with me 1 second, Lara. Mark has asked, self-hypnosis for dental, going to the dentist for dental procedures.
Well, the first thing is, I wouldn't personally try self-hypnosis for a dental procedure. You could have a hypnotherapist do that for you, so that you don't feel the pain when you go to the dentist. The self-hypnosis is a thing. It works. It's good. It's not as powerful as going to a hypnotherapist, and the reason for that is because if you imagine, if you do a relaxation, a meditation relaxation, and you're focusing on the present moment, and you're relaxing and you let go, and then you have some sort of an awakening, they call the awakening experience. You start to see pictures, you start to have some Kundalini experience, whatever it is. Yes. You have no control. You don't have any control over what's happening.
I get it.
The difference is that with a hypnotherapist is you don't have control in the sense that you're following the guidance of the hypnotherapist.
Yes.
The hypnotherapist is the guide.
I get it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Two other quick questions, if I may. I get the impression that you can use hypnosis in the way you've described it for two approaches, really. One, perhaps, is a specific thing that you're trying to achieve. Perhaps you're trying to heal something, a disease, a cancer, I don't know, something or other, that you can focus on. And is there then another approach or use of hypnosis for general discovery? You were talking about finding your path and your way in life and your life and so on, where there isn't necessarily, you're not starting out with an end goal in mind. It's more of an exploration. Is that the sort of hypnosis that's available?
Yeah, and that's the two parts that I do. Is
right.
the first is releasing any stored stress, and then that has an effect on emotional, physical conditions.
Yes.
But if there's a specific issue, if somebody has got, lower back pain or suffering from depression, or if there's something specific,
yes,
then we can deal with that. And the other part is a general exploration. And if it's completely general, like with no rules, kind of, then it would be, we need an intention, obviously. So something that I'm guiding and helping to do.
Yes.
So then it would be, let's explore how you can be in better alignment, how you can be more finding more meaning, or doing the right thing that you're here to do in your life. So that would be the general exploration.
Brilliant. Thank you for that explanation, and thank you for what you've done this evening. It's been it's brilliant to listen to all this information. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much too. Yeah, thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Laura, for your patience. Would you like to take yourself off mute?
Sure thing. First of all, big dose of gratitude for Robito, for CPN, for World Council, for everything. A year ago, I was not hopeless, but over here we have a medicine crisis. Maybe you know Beirut explosion. If you know it, I'm one of the medical survivors. Where I'm sitting right now was gone. So I had a quantum experience. I had a near-death experience. It's a bit, perhaps I would answer some of Lynn's questions. I went somewhere which in physics or quantum, they describe it as the black hole. But then I went to a space which was light, compassion, beautiful, and then I had a 360 vision. I saw what had happened on the ground, and I was like, holy beep. What? Oh my God, I have to go back. But then I had fast forward to 2022. I saw what's coming last year. I said, I have to go back. But before going back, by the way, all of this was happening in a millisecond. But for me, it felt like 15 minutes. I had a life review and went back before birth. I was always the weird one out anyway, but in my family, we support the weird ones. My niece is also 14-year-old, a rebel. She's also one of the survivors. So just to say thank you, and that it really works so fast. I thought I was going to be stuck with PTSD, CPTSD, and over here it's ongoing, Now I can thrive even if there are bombs flying or whatever. It's now global. I have hashtag global shit show. So when I saw CPN, I was like, COVID positive. Yes, please. I want to know more about it. And I kept seeing numbers, 17, 17, 17. It led me here. And I've been following what Robito and the wonderful people give every week, and other modalities too. I do something called the bars, access bars, neurotouch, or with Dr. Jerry. So basically all of it. And I'm thriving without medication. I was told to take heart medication. I was told to several antidepressants, and I could have easily gone and enabled the system, But I said, no, what is right about this crisis? What can I do about it? So I went back to old modalities I had tried years ago. I'm the first Lebanese who did that, who has tried these. And I'm just here to inspire and say miracles do exist. It happens, that we recover. And I have this belief that those of us who took the vaccine only to, I'm saying only because some people are just happily boosting and posting. Anyway, that because we did it for a good cause, because I had to infiltrate and do the groundwork in hospitals, to this day, today there were massive protests. I chose not to go to the protests, but I knew it was going to be a bloodbath. So I foresee things before they happen. And now is the perfect time, as if we were prepared for this time now. And even though everything is crashing, it's the Great Reset, it's a global awakening, and it's what a time to be alive. Freaking grateful for you, Robito. And my question is just tiny. How would you explain it to people who think we're because it really works so fast. And I see someone's energy and what trauma without even going back to the stories, So life is like a Benny Hill show right now, or Muppet show. So how would you explain it?
Laura, so first of all, thank you. So I should just mention then, because this is actually hosted by the People's Health Alliance that we're partnered with. And so when you're talking about COVID positive news, that was the channel that I founded on Telegram. It's now the Conscious People's Network.
Okay, yeah, and I would love to have a session with you. That's it. So waiting for your reply. Thank you so much.
All right, great. To answer your question, we can't really go into that in depth right now because you're moving into a slightly different area, but it is linked. What you were talking about there was a near-death experience. Many people have them. You talked about a life review. You talked about probably you went through some sort of tunnel. You went to a light. This is something that many people have when they go through a near-death experience. So I
seem to attract, be it from the UK, be it from South Africa or the US, veterans and people who have been in war situations. Mm-hmm. So they are receiving hope and they are receiving the healing, whatever I'm doing. I start with a question. If you could get one thing out of this session, what would it be? So when we go without expectations and so much changes, and the more I undid I studied the whole, clinical psychology and all of it, the brain, all of this. It's like I unlearned the past few years. I never opened the diagnostics manual, never. So,
but if
I think what might be useful is to go back to your question, is to get whoever you want to influence to watch the video, to watch this video back.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Yeah, get them to watch it and then just say.
Yeah, I spread the message a lot. I share the links and everyone, but it's the 2% mindset that's we're observing. So thank you so much.
I'd just like to quickly mention, because there is something which is linked to it. So what is a near-death experience? That's a massive topic. So let's not jump into that one yet. But I would say what a obviously not a blessing to go through what you went through, but to have that experience.
It is a blessing in a way,
But when you're talking about seeing things that happen ahead and things like this, when you go in, there's so many different mysteries that are there when we go inside, and some of them we know about. So for example, there's the Heart Math Institute. If you focus on the heart and you focus on gratitude, your heart starts to change its rhythm, starts beating in what's called coherence, into a perfect balanced rhythm. You can control your heartbeat with gratitude.
I've been I've been on a gratitude journey. Sorry to interrupt. It's been 9 months now, and I had completely forgotten about my body. I was always functioning from here. Then I remembered, oh, there's a human body here, because I was on several dimensions for a long time. Now, never grounded like this before. So that's miraculous. Yeah.
Another one is the Wim Hof method. If you know about Wim Hof, he's able to, through focusing on his breath and a certain breathing technique, and also he goes in the cold, he's able to control his autonomic immune system. So he was injected with a virus, E. coli, and it didn't affect him because he was doing his method. There's Tumo, I think it is, Tumo meditation, where you can affect your body temperature and change your body temperature. And then also you can, with outer body experience, not a near-death experience, you can train yourself to do that while you're lying in bed. So there's lots of other stuff that you can explore from going into the subconscious.
Yeah. Like you call me the nomad, so yeah.
But that would be a whole other presentation.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura.
So I email you?
Yeah, send me an email, and also we can message through.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Laura. And if we can move swiftly over to Emma, would you like to take yourself off mute, and we'll be with you shortly, Gay?
There we go. Hey. Oh. Is it me?
Yeah, Emma.
Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like
I just had a quick question. I just had another quick question about hypnotizability. Like you said it, I know I've been reading with mass hypnosis and the situation going on that there's a certain amount of population that are easy to hypnotize, like whatever, 30%. And then there's a certain part that follows the stream. And then there's a certain part that isn't easy to hypnotize, that doesn't go into these mass hypnosis, mass formation things. What do you think about this as a hypnotherapist? Do you think everybody is as hypnotizable? Do you think everybody can be hypnotized?
Great question. I mean, I covered some of that in the presentation, because I mean, I really like Dr. Matthias Desmet, and I agree with pretty much everything that he's saying when it comes to mass formation. I don't agree with this 30% are hypnotizable, because I have a different definition of what he means when he says that you are hypnotized in this situation. So if you are able to focus on someone's voice, we're talking about hypnosis now, because meditation, if you're able to focus on the present moment, which is very difficult for people, but it takes practice. So if you can focus on someone's voice, that's for the hypnosis, that's the first requirement, which is not too difficult, even if you've got an active mind, because it's a relaxing experience. But then the thing which is the most difficult is actually the letting go of the control. Some people really hold on to the control. They get very uncomfortable when they're not in control of the situation. And people that are very busy thinkers, or people who find it very difficult to let go of the control, are going to find it more difficult to go into hypnosis. However, as Maureen said, when you're with the therapist, you want to make sure that you know exactly what's going to happen, and all of this. But it's the rapport also with the hypnotherapist. So the first time you might not go as deep, but then if you were to go back and do it again, you might find that you can go deeper the second time, because you feel comfortable with the person. You've already experienced it once before. You know what's going to happen, so there's nothing that you're worried about, and you can relax even more into the experience. So that's, I would say everybody can be, but for some people, they might need some practice with meditation, for example, or they might need to build trust over a few sessions first. And as far as with the hypnotizable 30% from Dr. Matthias Desmet, I would argue that is more to do with why are 30% of the population focusing on the threat, like really focusing on that threat, whatever the threat is that is presented to them through the television or through the newspapers. And it's probably that they're choosing to go to that threat because of other trauma within. So like other reasons, feeling Yeah.
Yeah. There maybe
So-
those are the people like on your slide, the 30% that had those, for whom all those characteristics were true, like feeling life is meaningless and feeling whatever. You know, you
yeah,
had all
so I'm not an expert in this, it's just a theory, but like
Yeah.
you need all of those things for
Yeah.
mass hypnosis, mass formation to work. So that's why I say it's not hypnosis, because hypnosis is
Yeah.
just what I've
yeah,
explained.
it's a different thing simply.
But but my theory at the moment, which could change, why some people go and some people don't, why some people kind of follow and others don't,
Yeah.
is I think because there are people that are diving deep into the threat. They're diving deep into what is being presented to them, that threat that they need to focus on. Whereas somebody else is like, my brother said right from the beginning, he says, why are people getting so upset about the flu? That was his opinion. I'm not saying that's the right opinion, but that was his opinion. And so he wasn't putting any attention into what was being presented. And so he didn't fall for it, if you like. He didn't fall for any manipulation.
Yeah.
So I would say it's more to do with, why are the people choosing to focus on it or not choosing to focus on it?
Mm.
Right. Thank you, Emma.
Yep.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gay was there a moment ago. Have you gone, Gay?
I'm here.
Oh, well, there you go. Lovely.
I'm here.
Fabulous. You moved around on my screen.
I wondered if it was my connection then, but I don't know what happened. Right. Robito, I got a question for you. When you were doing the presentation, you mentioned all the different things, different illnesses, whether it's a psychological issue or a physical issue. And I noticed one or two or three of those that are in my life at the moment. So I would imagine that in some instances, hypnotherapy is good, not for just one specific issue, but say something a bit more complicated where it's perhaps, well, take fibromyalgia, for instance. Very often that is associated with some stressful event or abuse in the past. So you may have like PTSD, fibromyalgia, and other illnesses, which would seem to be a little bit complex. But would you say that hypnotherapy can help in those instances?
That's a great question, and nice to finally talk to you, Gay, as well. So when I talked about finding the key, it's finding the root cause. So you go to the root cause, whatever that is, and then you can do a few different things. So one of them could be to make peace. Another one could be to change the flavor so that it doesn't feel dramatic when you think about it anymore. It could be, there's different ways to deal with it, but you find the root cause, and you what is not you kind of come to you find peace with that, and then everything else will start to fall into place. It's not a magic, the next day everything is gone, but everything then will say with the person I'm working with psoriasis. We've done a few sessions, we've found out where it comes from, with the root cause of it, and now it's clearing away. But it didn't just go the next day, but it's going away. And this lady has also now started to look at diet. She was already doing exercise, so it's not necessarily just, hypnosis is the solution, but it's a very powerful thing. And you go into the, like somebody in a hypnosis session, we all know that we should be eating more healthily, but if you go into a hypnosis session and then you get the message from within your own subconscious that you should be eating more healthily, it has a huge impact. You come back and you listen to it. The experience of it happening inside your subconscious and you connecting with that is I'm not sure exactly why, except that when you are connected to your subconscious, you're connected to yourself. So it's yourself telling yourself that this is what you need to do. rather than, for example, reading it in a book or watching a YouTube video or a friend told you. So so it's extremely powerful. In summary, it's extremely powerful when you find that root cause and you make the changes there.
Thank you, Robito. Thank you.
Thanks, Gay. Oh, you're on mute, Maureen.
I sound better on mute. Thank you very much, Gay, and everybody for your questions and your input and for being here this evening. Thank you, Robito, for sharing what is been forever fascinating for me. I've come across in my work hypnotherapy, and the power of the mind is simply amazing. So can you remind us again, Robito, where we can find you?
Sure. What therapy do you do? But you said you.
Yeah, I'm trained in NLP, done some hypnosis training, and EFT and mindfulness based NRE patterning are the main modalities. And
Okay.
so working with all the things that you've said, the mind is incredibly powerful to get the results, and it can be complex, and every session is unique. It can be incredibly life-changing and quick. It is whatever it takes.
Yeah, and you're working definitely in the same kind of field, the same area there.
Yeah.
So I was going to offer a short demonstration, but I don't know, it's already 1:30, so maybe we need to stop now. But if people would like to contact me, then the easiest way to do it is if you go to robito.info. That will take you to my link tree. So that's got the links, and then you just click on the hypnosis there. So that I'll keep it at that. I've actually got at the moment 2 websites that go to the same, two addresses that go to the same site. So the easiest way is just robito.info, and then you can go straight to the, and thanks. Yeah. Fabulous.
Excellent.
Oh, Laura says it won't open. Let me try.
Yeah. I know I looked you up today and I was able to get through to, I don't know which website, but one of the websites with lots of good detail. So
I'll just see if robito.info works for me.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. So but
we will do.
Yeah.
Seems to be.
It definitely worked for me today. So who knows? It might be tiniest little thing.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you go back to this presentation, I had the email in there. It was hello@robitochatwin.com. That will also take you to robitochatwin.com. Will also take you to the website.
Yeah, and also there's lots of videos as well on YouTube, aren't there?
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel. I've been posting I'm doing a podcast now, but I've got some videos on there of hypnotherapy sessions that I've done.
Yeah.
And if you go to the robito.info, if you go to YouTube, you'll see those videos as well. Laura seems to be right that it is working for me now, Laura, so I'm not sure.
All right, great. We got there. Laura's got there as well. So again, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. Thank you so much, Robito, for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, and on behalf of PHA, everybody keep up the good work and have a wonderful rest of the evening. Thank you, Robito.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much.
I'll stop recording now.